respected Professor William Dyer, they think I have left my senses. I believe that at times I can hear my colleagues whispering anxiously in halls, wondering aloud if I will ever find my way back. My fear is that I will not, and in some short measure of time I join poor Danforth. I cannot say, but I fear the day will come soon. I have, with more urgency of late, continued to record the precision of facts of our journey into the heart of those forsaken mountains. The newspapers have gotten this wrong. They would not print the truth. They dared not. My record must stand at all cost as a warning, even if it means to rob me of whatever remains of my sanity. I feel as though my memory of those events is dimming with each passing day, as I try to get this down on paper, to warn them what we uncovered beneath the ice. I know this for certain, with more urgency than ever. They are planning to go back. I must continue recording these events as they happened before my mind is broken. I hope that this record survives me, and that it reaches those who still believe exploration is harmless. They must turn back before it's too late. At about 62 degrees south latitude, we sighted our first iceberg. They were magnificent, pure white cliffs of ice piercing the surface of the sea. The ship cut cleanly through the Southern Ocean, and the ice welcomed us with the dull indifference of any uninhabited place. The falling temperature bothered me considerably after our long voyage through the tropics, but I tried to brace up for the worst rigors to come. The air grew colder. The bergs were smooth and clean, like cut stone. We passed between them in silence. The men were in good spirits. Young Danforth was on the deck, sketching with a raw, childlike enthusiasm. On the morning of the 26th of October, the Antarctic coastline appeared on the south, and before noon we all felt a thrill of excitement at beholding a vast, lofty and snow-clad mountain chain which opened out and covered the whole vista ahead. On the 7th of November, we entered McMurdo Sound and stood off the coast in the lee of smoking Mount Erebus. Its peak towered up some 12,700 feet against the eastern sky, like a Japanese print of the sacred Fujiyama, while beyond it rose the white, ghost-like height of Mount Terror, and now extinct as a volcano. It all looked untouched and eerily complete. We effected a difficult landing on Ross Island on the morning of the 9th, carrying a line of cable from each of the ships and preparing to unload supplies. Our sensations on first treading Antarctic soil were poignant and complex, even though at this particular point the Scott and Shackleton expeditions had preceded us. Our camp on the frozen shore below the volcano's slope was only a provisional one, headquarters being kept aboard the Arkham vessel. We landed all our drilling apparatus, dogs, tents, provisions, aeroplane parts, and other accessories. We hoped to complete our work during a single Antarctic summer, but if this proved impossible, we would winter on the Arkham, sending the Miskatonic north before the freezing of the ice for another summer's supplies. We planned the next intermediate settlement just beyond Beardmore Glacier, the largest of its kind in the world. We would try to make camp just below Mount Nansen. So it was on the 21st of November that we left for the glacier in a breathtaking 4-hour non-stop flight, and without incident landed safely and established our next base south of the glacier, 8,500 feet above sea level. After securing the Beardmore camp, we settled in quickly, but wasted little time and began our borings into the ice, hoping we would not have to go too deep before we hit the rock layer. To our great luck, we managed to hit solid ground at 12 feet. In certain of the sandstones, dynamited and chiseled after boring revealed their nature, we found some highly interesting fossil markings and fragments, notably ferns, seaweeds, trilobites, crinoids, and such mollusks as lingulae and gastropods, all of which seemed of real significance in connection with the region's primordial history. There was also a queer triangular, striated marking about a foot in greatest diameter, which Lake pieced together from 3 fragments of slate brought up from a deep blasted aperture. At length, we resolved to carry out our original plan of flying 500 miles eastward, with all 4 exploring planes, and establishing a fresh sub-base at a point which would probably be on the smaller continental division, as we mistakenly conceived it. Geological specimens obtained there would be desirable for purposes of comparison. However, Professor Lake's strange and dogged insistence on a northwestward prospecting trip before our radical shift to the new base, it seems he had pondered a great deal, and with alarmingly radical daring, over that triangular striated marking in the slate, reading into it certain contradictions in nature and geological period which whetted his curiosity, and made him avid to bore in the west-stretching formation, to which the exhumed fragments evidently belonged. He was strangely convinced that the marking was the print of some bulky, unknown, and radically unclassifiable organism of considerably advanced evolution, notwithstanding that the rock which bore it was of so vastly ancient a date, Cambrian, if not actually pre-Cambrian, as to preclude the probable existence not only of all highly evolved life. These fragments, with their odd marking, must have been 500 million to 1,000 million years old. I urged him not to go, but he would not be dissuaded.